Gotta go, gotta see things, see new places and brand new things. Gotta go places and do things, maybe to forget.
A little while ago, you guys may have seen Brandon, the guy whose name starts with a VR, yeah, K3DW, sent me a bunch of puzzles, and I really like puzzles. And one of the puzzles really stood out to me, and that puzzle was the corner-turning anti-prism. Unfortunately, I did not get to keep it. I didn't really expect that I would be able to keep it, but I didn't get to keep it. But when I saw a friend of mine, Elation Cubing, had made a corner-turning anti-prism, which looks sort of similar to it, especially on this face, and actually inspired the Catsup, I had to reach out to him and I had to ask him if I could print myself a copy. Now, if you guys don't know Elation Cubing, he's a guy who designs puzzles and 3D prints them on a desktop printer, much like I do. He doesn't have that much of a YouTube channel. I don't think he really has the time to do a YouTube channel or something like that. But he does have an Instagram, so you guys definitely go check out his Instagram. I'll put a link in the description. And yeah, it's at whatever it says over there. That's what his Instagram is. Funny story, actually the first time I saw him was in one of TC Cube's videos, and it wasn't the best first impression because his puzzles broke, and then I looked on his Instagram and he had made really nice puzzles, and so I sort of had this conflicted view where I didn't want him to be a good puzzle designer because that would mean that they were, I don't know, I sort of saw him as someone to compete with, but after I actually started talking to him, I realized he was a nice guy, and I just, yeah, we're chill now, and he even let me print one of his puzzles, so what else can I say to say that he's a chill guy? So I got the files for this puzzle a while ago, and I printed it out, and I pretty much finished it, except for the stickers, maybe like a couple weeks ago. And the printing wasn't too out of the ordinary. I think I might have had one failed print, a little bit of a failure, but overall it was pretty easy to print. The parts came out pretty well, and yeah, it was just a good print. I did have to super glue the caps on for the puzzle because I couldn't figure out how to get them to stick in there, and I ended up just having to super glue it, and that's sort of a minus because the core is 3D printed, so I may have to super glue the screws into the core because it's possible for them to strip. But on the other side, it's not that bad because there's already a sticker which is covering that area, so I'd have to take the sticker off anyways. Anyhow, after I printed it, I put it down aside for a while, and I just didn't cut the stickers. One of the reasons was because I didn't have the dimensions for the size of the stickers, but eventually I actually did get the sticker template, whatever you want to call it, and yeah, I stickered the puzzle, and I mean, this is what it looks like. I think this is a good place to sort of show it, or maybe this edge here, but when I made the stickers, the sizing was a little bit off. So what Elation Cubing told me was that the stickers were 56 millimeters to an edge, but I think what he was talking about was the size of the cube. So when I made these stickers 56 millimeters to an edge, it worked out because the roundiness doesn't affect the length of the edge. But when I did that on these stickers, they were a little bit too large. Thankfully, half of the stickers which I used on this are from Chewy's, and so they're high quality and they'll stick, but this color, and the purple color are all old stickers that I had lying around, and their sticker quality is, well, not on par. So I have to keep pushing those stickers down every once in a while, but it's okay. I've scrambled this puzzle and solved it once. I actually had to solve it a couple times after I stickered it before I stickered it, because I scrambled it, and it scrambles by shape as well. Let me see. You can see it has a part that's sticking out there. so it scrambles by shape as well. So I had to figure out how to solve it there, and because I'd done that, it wasn't that hard to extend being able to solve it by shape to being able to solve it by color. So I'll sort of show you the complexity of the puzzle. If you do this sort of, I don't know, sledgehammer-esque move, that like 3 times, it'll swap these 2 pieces and these 2 pieces. So yeah, it's not that difficult of a solve. Elation Cubing said he really liked it. I like it. It's good. It's just, I don't know. I sort of like the catsup puzzle better than the corner turning anti-prism, because it's more like bizarre, or it's more unconventional. This puzzle is sort of conventional. If you know how to solve twisty puzzles in general, you should be able to solve this puzzle. No problem. I mean, it'll be a challenge, but you should be able to solve it. So now I'm gonna do something which a friend of mine, Cubes Made Easy, likes to do, which is sort of to review the puzzles. Now I didn't tell Elation Cubing that I was gonna do this, but I don't know, I really wanna do this, just as a sort of experiment. So, for this puzzle, I think the first thing which I'm going to do is ease of printing. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. This is a pretty, relatively easy puzzle to print. It's not a support material free puzzle. I don't think puzzles should be support material free. I mean, you can do that if you really want to, but other than splitting the pieces, it's kind of unavoidable to do that. So out of 15.5, I would rate this 10. 10 out of 15.5. That's your grade for printability. Now the next score which I would do is the actual design of the puzzle. And like I can sort of do this from a designer standpoint. And I have to say, it's not a badly designed puzzle. It's not as good as the original, which was made by someone else. It was made by this man here, that guy. He's the one who made it. But it's still a well-designed puzzle. Now there were there's a little bit of a problem where the internals weren't as rounded as they could be, not necessarily as they should be, but as they could be. And that factored a little bit into turning, but I'll get onto that later. One quick thing I'd like to add is the core is designed split in half, and there's no mechanism to flip the 2 halves together correctly and like aligned in the XY axis. Or in the like Z rotation axis, and that was kind of annoying to do. I understand why he did it that way, sort of, but honestly, I think it could have been done better. I don't know. I would have appreciated if he hadn't have done it like that, or if he had to put some type of little connecting rod in the middle, which like maybe like a hexagonal or a square connecting rod in the middle. That would just rule out that problem. And I understand that he was designing it for himself. He wasn't really thinking that other people would want to print it, and so that may just be his personal preference. So for the design, I'd say it gets a solid 8 out of 11 points. That sounds like a good score to me. So, the turning. Now, this puzzle, it doesn't turn bad. Like you saw just a couple seconds ago, it can turn well, but it does lock up sometimes. Now, this puzzle isn't unstable like the magical all-around Pyraminx that I'm holding over here, but it does lock up, and it locks up quite a bit. And that probably has something to do with the internals not being as rounded off as they could be. Now, it isn't as much it isn't a problem to the extent where the solvability is affected, but it's still something which you have to sort of worry about while you're turning. Like, you'll be in the middle of the algorithm and it'll lock up and you'll just have to like sort of fiddle with the pieces until it turns. That's also probably has to do with me not using springs, and I know that's terrible and I shouldn't have done that, but I didn't use springs. And I couldn't really use springs because the type of screws I use have a really tall head, and then on top, like, there wasn't too much space to put the spring, so I tried doing it, but it didn't really work out. So it would probably be a little bit easier to turn when, like, if you used springs. So the turning of the puzzle, I would probably rate it 7 out of 10. Now, for comparison, this cube would probably get like a 6.5 out of 10. So maybe 7.5 is a better number for this, because it's not at all like this one locks up like that. It's loose and the pieces rattle around, so this is probably more of like a 6. This one is good. It feels a little bit rough. That may just be the sanding that I did, and it locks up a little bit, but it's definitely solvable. So now onto the solve. Now, the difficulty of the solve, I'm gonna rate it like as difficulty and then as enjoyment. So this puzzle is relatively not tedious. So it's not a tedious puzzle. It also isn't like mind-bending. Like, it doesn't have some extreme like properties that no other puzzles have, that only it has, such as the gyro by fastigium or the catsup puzzle. It's not really unique. I'd probably rate it closest to maybe a mixture between like a ready cube or a corner turning cube and edge turning like a helicopter cube, with the catsup mixed into there just as an added little effect. So it wasn't like that. The puzzle was the difficulty. I guess most of the difficulty for this puzzle came out of the tediousness, and yeah, that's about it. There weren't too many problems with there weren't too many problems with algorithms, because most of the algorithms you sort of would come up with along the way, and none of them were too complicated. Another aspect of this puzzle is you don't really have to come up with your own your own conjugates and the other thing, you know, the property of puzzle solving. If you know in puzzle cube theory, whatever, you'll know what I'm talking about. You didn't have to come up with any of those. You could solve the entire thing with simple algorithms that you came up with by accident. Well, at least in my case. And maybe it's just the way that I solved the puzzle. There was one thing where there's like 2 of these swapped, and it's like was sort of like a parity, but I just swapped 2 of the top ones, which you can switch with any of them, and that solved that parity. So overall, I would rate the difficulty of this puzzle from a 2x2 to a Diane spherical demon circle thing. It would probably rate about curvy-copter and a half out of the Diane Demon Circle. Now, for the fun level of the solve. So, I will admit, I enjoyed solving this. It was really fun. Well, not really fun, but it was an enjoyable solve. As someone who seeks puzzles to solve that will challenge himself and be entertaining or whatever. I love solving puzzles. I don't just like building puzzles or solving puzzles fast. I like solving puzzles, like new puzzles. This wasn't the type of puzzle which you would say just pick up and solve. Like it's not like a 3x3 or a 2x2 or even maybe a squan or a skew where you'd want to solve it just for like just for the sake of solving it. Like solving it is enjoyable. Like it's not like a fidget type thing. Like I'd almost say cubing is. It was more something where you'd have to set aside everything you're doing, pick up the cube, and then actually think about it while you solved it. Which sort of speaks for how difficult the puzzle was, or different from a regular solve. Yeah, it was a nice puzzle. I enjoyed solving it. I didn't enjoy it as much as the catsup, or the first time I solved 5x5 without any like algorithms or anything. That was really fun. So I'd probably rate it maybe 24.5 out of 26. I think that sounds about right. Anyhow, guys, so that was the corner turning anti-prism. I hope you guys enjoyed my little look into this puzzle. If you want me to do more of this type of me printing other people's puzzle thing, leave me a comment telling me that. I'm gonna do it anyways. I already have another puzzle lined up that I didn't design that I'm gonna print. I don't know, I just like doing it. I have puzzles that I want to print that I designed, but right now I'm just in a phase where I want to print stuff that I think is cool. Like I really want to print a catsup puzzle, but Braden K3DW hasn't let me do that yet, unfortunately. Maybe this video will be able to convince him otherwise. But yeah, that's this puzzle. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I am out. Out. Oh, I need to stop reviving the I am out intro. Yeah, I'll just leave it in this time.